My guest today is Gail Middleton. Gail, tell me where you're from and what you're doing.
Well, I'm from an organisation called Better Together Housing, and this is an initiative from two local organisations, Sundale Limited, which is an aged care provider, and Coast to Bay Housing Group that does housing services.
We have had this fantastic conversation about sharing houses, something we did when we were young,
Yep.
and something that we can do again. I want you to stay right through to the end because this is a meaty topic that I think we should all be talking about. I'm Robin Cook and this is Stories from the Red Couch. Most of my young adult life
Yes.
was in share housing.
Yes.
And I'm so focused on housing as I get older. I still love share housing, and I'm acutely aware of having moved into that demographic of increasing homelessness for women. And you've started this amazing thing, Better Together Housing. Can you tell me about it? What's it all about?
Well, it is meant to be a simple thing, and it is meant to be for women over 55 who want to share a home. And again, I agree with you. We had so much fun when we were young and students and sharing our homes. The Golden Girls,
Yes.
they were an older group, and I'm
Yes.
sure most of the women who are watching this show will remember the Golden Girls. They also had a good attitude and approach to sharing. But it started to some extent from, yes, you're right, there is a significant growth in homelessness amongst older women. And in fact, in the last 3 years, there's been an 88% increase in the number of women over 55 contacting homelessness services.
85% increase.
88%
That's
increase
astonishing.
in 3 years.
Crikey.
And we all know that there needs to be more housing and more affordable housing. But what this project decided or worked on was that we're not going to get enough houses built in the time that we're going to need them. And the other issue is we talk about houses still being unaffordable. When women are renting, or when anybody is renting a home up on the Sunshine Coast, the minimum rent to get really a decent property is $330 a week. That is about 60% of a pension. So we said, well, look, we're not going to get pensions increased, although we'd like to. We're not going to get more affordable houses built, although we still want to. So we wanted to come up with a solution that was quick and simple and instant.
And using available resources, as you say.
Using available resources.
We're not going to be able to build all of the houses, and it would mean people living on their own, which we don't necessarily want either.
It's not healthy for us to be living on our own.
Yes, that's
so,
right. We need to be sharing. So I'm guessing that once we get to this age,
yes,
often we're set in our ways. We
Yes.
like to have the cutlery drawer arranged just so.
yes.
How do you get through that in bringing people together?
Well, I think it's a mindset thing. For a start, the women who want to participate in this project need to see some of the greater benefits of sharing. So it's the security that you have, it's the companionship you have. It's not necessarily a friendship. It's the companionship, as I said.
That's right. 'Cause
More
you
than
don't
a
need-
friendship.
That's right. You
Most
don't
of
need to be best friends,
You
do
don't
you?
need to be best friends.
No.
So what you need to do, though, is you need to be able to negotiate. And one thing you also need is you need to be confident to be able to negotiate. And that's where we think things like Better Together and some of the resources and processes we've got are about increasing women over 55's confidence to be able to negotiate with someone around sharing. We have something which is called a co-tenants agreement that was written with the Suncoast Legal Service. And this agreement has got a number of parts. It's just an agreement between those that are sharing, whether you're sharing with one or two or more. You all agree about how finances are going to be sorted. How are you going to have records that money's being paid?
Yes.
What areas are private? What areas can be shared? Whose fridges and whose furniture are you going to put into the house?
Because that's actually a significant thing, and it's those little questions and indecisions that can irritate and cause, difficulties in the day-to-day. If those things aren't resolved to start with, it's like when we had to divvy up the phone bill. Thank goodness for mobile phones now.
Yeah.
You have your own phone, so you don't
or
have
you
to
had
do
the
that.
slot with the 10-cent piece
crikey.
that you put in.
So I think that's amazingly helpful.
Yes.
To have those conversations up front.
Yes.
It's not a power struggle, and it's about how do we best work this out. That's fantastic.
And if you don't have those conversations, and if you can't get through those difficult conversations, and then some of them include things like, how often do you like to vacuum?
Yes, or clean the toilets.
Are you a morning person or an afternoon person?
Wow,
like these are the kinds of things we expect people to have that conversation, have the confidence to say to someone, look, actually, I really like you, but I don't know that I can live with you. And that is fine. We are having a number of women who are forming great friendships from coming along to our morning teas.
Okay, so how does that work? I mean, how do people make that decision first of all, and then make contact in a non-threatening way, I guess?
So first of all, the process that we have, we think it's simple. I like to say it's a cross between Uber and Tinder. Uber with the shared economy, and Tinder that you can actually swipe right or left depending on whether you like someone. So what happens is a woman goes onto our website, gets to the application form, fills that in and sends it off. The bit she has to do, which is the bit which is our point of difference between other flatmates sharing houses, and that's that we require people to have a police check or a blue card. So they upload that, and then it comes to us. We do the back end. We also then contact everybody individually, and we do a bit of an assessment. It's not a check, but we just want to make sure that the woman who's coming on board understands that sharing is about sharing, that it's not as consolation prize. It is actually something that they can embrace and get much more benefits out of. We also want to check that the person's not in crisis.
Because their needs would be different. And
their needs are different.
And many of us are in crisis at one point or another, right throughout our lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's not about that.
It's not about crisis. This is about women who are in what we like to call housing insecurity.
Yes, okay.
And housing insecurity is often for a number of reasons. It can be because the house they've got or the rents are going up and they can't afford them. The tenure they've got, they know that the people are going to come back in 6 months when they've got the money to renovate the house or back from their overseas holidays. So they're going to have to move again. And coming back to the student days, it's not like you get a few mates around with a slab and a ute and you put everything in. No, now it costs about $3,000 minimum to move a property.
Yeah.
So if someone hasn't got a secure lease...
Particularly if you've accumulated a bit of gear, well, which is another whole thing, isn't it? How do you amalgamate two or more households of furniture and stuff?
Well, luckily... A lot of the people that are coming, not everyone has housefuls of furniture.
Okay.
A lot of people are moving up here, like they're coming from Brisbane, they don't want to bring their stuff, it's going to be too expensive to do that.
So they're already downsizing?
Yeah, they're already downsizing.
That's
Others
great.
have left their stuff behind. Others, so what we're looking at, we're trying to get some of the service clubs to give us a bit of money to get some storage in place. And our intention is that, we certainly, if you've got an old couch, it's not worth storing because it will only go mouldy. Choose the best. Pick the best of what you've got between the women who are sharing. If the rest is important or you're a bit concerned about taking the risk of sharing, put it in some storage. We're hopefully going to get some storage where people can put it in for 12 months. And after that, if it's working, fine. Get rid of it. Pass it on as a... I think if you've got a daughter and you've got a cabinet, that you an old sideboard, give it to her. That's grandma's. You should be looking after that. It's yours now, If it doesn't fit in the house that you've got. And others might go, look, I've really got this precious trunk. I really want to keep it. You negotiate. You negotiate the woman you're sharing. How can you fit that in?
So you're just on the Sunshine Coast?
We are on the Sunshine Coast.
Which is a big area. I mean, when I
It
say
is.
just, that's a dreadful word to use because we've got an increasing population.
Yes.
And from outside of the area coming in. So it's an ideal situation, isn't it?
It is for some of those people coming in from the outside, and they do, but we say that we're using some jargon, we're a place-based service.
Okay, that's nice. I like that.
So we have restricted ourselves to the Sunshine Coast, and because what we do, besides the women finding each other on the website, once they've registered, they get access to the secret side
Yes.
of the website where they see each other, they see their phone numbers and their emails, they can read their stories, and then they can make contact themselves. We're not matching people.
No.
We want women who have got the
Okay, so
confidence
you're really
to
just
match
providing
themselves.
a platform.
We are just the platform.
And some frameworks
Lots of frameworks.
and advice,
Lots of advice.
but not ongoing support.
No.
No.
If you need a support service, we will refer you to a support service.
Yeah, that's a different thing entirely, isn't it?
So there's
That's
two
brilliant.
organisations have come together. So Sundale, who I work for, we're an aged care provider, and our in-home care services were kept coming to me as my title as a housing manager. Oh, so-and-so needs to move and their house isn't appropriate, they've got steps, it's no longer useful for them, or their community, their doctors and everything are in this area and they can't find anything which is affordable. And then Coast to Bay, our other partner in this, they're a housing association. They're the largest housing association. I think they're the only housing association up here on the Sunshine Coast. So, like our title says, we put our skills together and we're working together to try and find a solution.
That's fantastic. And you've used other organisations to help you along the way, haven't you?
Absolutely. So the Suncoast Legal Service we've used.
Yes.
The University of the Sunshine Coast. They did an evaluation because when we first launched, we did that lovely event down at the Suncoast Legal Service. We had 2 of the local members of Parliament. It was completely apolitical. Sandy Bolton and Fiona Simpson, they were lovely.
Perfect.
They both know this is a real issue, as I said, those
Of course they do.
staggering issues of 88% increase,
Sure.
they know it's an issue.
Yeah.
And they were, again, everything was about working together.
Yes.
They came together, we launched, and we had massive success. Like within about 2 months, we had about 70 women
That's
who had
fantastic.
seen about us, heard about us, and were writing to us or, filling in the form. But we just didn't have the infrastructure. We didn't think it was going to be that quick. And then we also came across the issue that many of the women over 55 weren't very good with computers. So when we were asking them to upload things or to print things off and to scan them back to us, we realised that was slowing everything down. So the university research helped us out with, identifying some of these. But it was late last year we started what we called Get It Togethers. So we host morning teas.
Okay.
And not in a welfare service. We actually go to, cafes by the water.
Nice.
And women just come along and we just have a conversation, and sometimes we have a guest speaker that might be talking about something.
That's brilliant because that's a framework that we use in other industries, don't
Absolutely.
we? Business industries and
Absolutely. Create a
writers
network.
groups all over the
Absolutely.
place. This is another one, but the focus is on shared housing.
Yes.
I love that.
But the best thing about these morning teas? The women come in very nervous, very insecure, and the biggest thing is to see the relief on their face when they realise they're not the only woman who's in this situation.
Because it is frightening. If you get to a point in your life and suddenly you're thinking, where am I going to live? Who am I going to live with? How am I going to navigate the next stage of my life? It is nerve-wracking.
Yes.
How do you negotiate that? And so to come to a place, particularly with that framework in place, that's what I really love about this. How do you facilitate those really quite awkward conversations?
Oh, look,
that's brilliant.
Many of the women that love a chat, and it's the other thing that comes out of that is at the end of these conversations, the women are helping each other get home. Oh, do you want to live? Do you know? You've got swapping each other's
women work.
It is how women work. And one of the reasons that, you know, why the women, I think, are even in this situation is another. It kind of gets to be a point of hesitation. So they feel a bit nervous. They feel that people will think that they've, you know, succumbed, you know, to poverty or whatever because they're sharing with somebody else, that they've had some kind of failure in their life.
Sure.
I say I'm over 55. I forgot what I was going to say.
But they haven't. So this is really a choice.
It has to be a choice.
That's what I love about it, is because it's a positive step forward. I'm going to take control of where I'm going, and I'm going to use this fabulous service to
meet people.
Yeah, to facilitate that. What's not to love?
There's not. I have a great time.
I'm sure you do.
I absolutely have a ball going to these morning teas, and I have met so many good women.
Yeah.
You know, and so many sad women. Their stories are so amazing.
Of course.
And yes, there are sad ones, but you know, at the end of the day, they're all strong women. They're all very independent women. They're not looking for carers. They don't want to be somebody else's carer.
No, but they can have someone to look after their pets if they need to go away.
Yeah, exactly. And they have more money to go away with.
Yeah. Because they're sharing the rent. They're sharing services.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Absolutely. And we did some work on what kind of design we should, you know, people would like in terms of shared accommodation. I mean, that's not really rocket science, but we kind of think you just need two main suites if you were going to build some shared housing. So any developers that are watching this, if you're going to build some shared housing, you just need to have two, like, what you'd call master suites with an ensuite in their own bathroom. You need a fairly small living area and a spare room, which can be the multi-purpose room. So if your family's coming to stay,
there's somewhere for them to go.
Or if you get to the edge, because we hope that some of these relationships will last a long time. And if it gets to the stage of people needing, you know, wheelie walkers or mobility scooters, there's somewhere for them to be parked not in the way of everything else.
For sure.
So yes, but they've been lovely women. There was another woman, and in fact, it was the first woman I ever interviewed for it, and she had been very successful in her life, but she'd moved up from back from Victoria to come up to be with her children. She had had money, but like many, the banks wouldn't lend her loans after divorces, you know. She had a career as well, but, you know, banks didn't lend money. They didn't lend money to women. And so she said, like, she was back up here and she didn't really want to live with her children because they were also independent. She was so proud of them. And she said, but you know what? I just want to say to someone, do you want a cup of tea, love? Without having made an appointment to go and have a cup of coffee with someone. She wasn't lonely. She didn't not have friends. She was reconnecting and a real networker. But she just felt that it was sometimes you don't need to make an appointment to see somebody.
For sure, that's
and when you're living on your own, that's what happens.
That's right.
That's exactly what happens.
But when you're sharing a space, there's always those little touch points through the day or the evening where you can just make that little contact. It doesn't have to be a 3-hour visit. It can just be it's a 5-minute catch-up.
And the other thing we're very conscious about is it's not about a roof over someone's head. So we're not about this being just about providing a bed or a room for someone who is homeless or in housing stress. It's about creating a home with another human being. And because many of these people are still renting, if the tenancy ends, it's a problem shared.
That's right.
The two of them go off and find another place.
House,
And then even the moving costs, you know,
be shared.
They're shared.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
So again, and they can upgrade and they can downgrade or they can do whatever it is they want, just like anybody who shares a house. And the relationships, it's like, I mean, my partner, I mean, we don't get on all the time.
Nobody does. That's exactly right.
But we get on most of the time, and the point is that these people will have enough lives to get away from each other. It's you know.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Tell me about this award, because this is like brand new, isn't it?
This is very brand new. In fact, I think it's about a week old. So when we first got the project up and running, or soon after we got it up and running, there's the housing industry has a professional association, like many other industries. And it was new. It is a new idea. Even though we think of things and think it's simple, it is new.
Yes.
There are other shared housing sites, but as you're saying, the frameworks around it make it different. So we were put up for the State Award, and we got the State Award for Housing Innovation, which we thought was completely amazing, considering some of the other projects that are up and some of the works that they're doing. And so I actually got the pleasure of going to Darwin last week, and lo and behold, our name was called out. So we're the, the leading innovation for housing.
That's
and
fantastic.
That's across Australia and New Zealand.
Really?
Yes.
That's brilliant.
I know.
How exciting.
It is exciting. So now we want sponsors to come and help us get to that next stage. Look, Sundale is predominantly in the Sunshine Coast.
Yes.
Coast Bay is definitely the Sunshine Coast, but we're quite willing to talk with other housing providers.
Of course.
To come and look at what we're doing.
Yeah.
But you know, everybody is so stretched at the moment. We just need a bit of support to bring these people on board, learn how we've done it, get them to replicate it.
Well, and that's exactly right. So that's that classic upscaling and moving that framework out into others, because men are in the same situation. And I have friends who are in that situation of living on their own.
Yes.
They can't live on their own. They need to live with other people.
Yep.
And it is equally as difficult, because there isn't that beautiful framework that you've set up for the women. So, you know, I know a lot of men that would be grappling with that. And
we have been talking to someone about creating this for men.
Yes.
The reason why we pick women, I think, is for us is it comes down to Centrelink.
Yeah, okay.
If people are sharing of the opposite sex, well, then they get all that intrusion into them about whether or not they're in a marriage-like relationship.
Yes, of course.
So we thought we needed to simplify it. So we needed to do...
That just shows how outdated that is, because...
I know, because now it can be marriage, yes, but don't tell them, they'll catch up.
Sorry, Centrelink, we didn't say that.
So what we're trying... So then it was like we had to pick one or the other, and you know, obviously we were aware of the growth in housing stress amongst women, you know, and there is the issue, you know, that we say that they were paid less. Many of them didn't work. Many of them after separation, if that's what had happened, and they were left with some money, banks wouldn't lend to them. And not only that, we live longer.
Yes.
And this is the other thing I've noticed about most of the women who are connecting with us. They're planners.
Yes.
You know, women think ahead. So they didn't have much superannuation, but they knew they'd have this much money, and they kind of thought, and we'll live until we're 80. And they're going, oh dear, I'm 76.
That's right.
I'm still walking 4 kilometres a day and don't take a pill. I think I'm going to live longer than 80. But then we've got to encourage those women that this is a safe thing, this is a good thing. And sharing can be fun.
It can be fun. So, Gail, how can people find you?
How can they find us?
Because they're going to be clamouring, I can tell.
Well, they need to go onto our website, and that's it. Sorry, I shouldn't say.
It's all right. You can say the
you
W's.
You told me not to say that.
We laugh about the W's because people invariably just do the two. So let's dispense with the W's.
bettertogetherhousing.com.au. Look it up on the website. And it's a lovely website designed by a lovely woman, Cara DeShott. So
beautiful.
Yeah, and she's helped us out along the way.
Yeah.
And I have to say thanks to Sundale and Coast Bay for the two organisations that keep working together right to the CEO levels to keep this project going.
It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? When you can have that level, that high level of collaboration.
It is the high level of commitment and finding solutions to complex problems.
Yeah, because they are complex.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Thank you for coming and
for
sharing that
me.
story. It was so fabulous.
Okay.
I'm so keen to continue watching this unfold. Thank you for watching. I'm Robin Cook. This is Stories from the Red Couch. I'll see you next week.
Exactly. Keep it simple. But it is this thing about convincing women that sharing is okay.
Yes.
So thanks for that. You kept me on that all the way through, and I. Yes.